Jesus existed before we were here. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. This is it. 5 parts. This is the 5th part of this 5-part series, looking at the prologue of the book of John. We wrap up the study at the divine Logos. The divine Logos, the divine word, Jesus Christ. John 1 doesn't just right-size God and Jesus. It doesn't just paint them as realities. We even get some timetable understanding in relationship to our existence and his existence. And the Bible's very clear that Jesus was here. He existed before we did. But before we go there, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please do us a favor also and hit the like button that supports this video. And then we want to invite you over to the website. That's at changeministry.org. After the video, make sure you go over there and check it out. John 1 takes us all through the Bible, even back to the beginning, in order to right size and right relationship the Father and the Son to us. Now it says in John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word. We've already determined based on the context of the rest of the chapter, this is another word for the Logos or Jesus. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. We've already determined that Jesus was with God. And in fact, we see the equality with God because Jesus or the Word was God. All right, we got that. Now, verse 2, the same was in the beginning with God. Beautiful reality. This is vital to know because remember, as we learned in the previous studies, Jesus's reality has no impact on whether or not he's received or rejected. He's still Jesus, regardless of how we respond to him. Many people reject Jesus because they don't see his preeminence. They just see him as a prophet, which he was, or they just see him as a preacher, which he was. But he was more than that. He is our Passover. And now he's even our high priest. So to get a grip on his preeminence, beyond the fact that he was walking the earth just like us, John wants us to see that he predates us. He existed before us. So now what beginning is being referred to in John 1? Let's go to that beginning in Genesis 1. Because in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I love being a creationist. I love the fact of knowing that I and we have been made in the image of God. So the beginning, our beginning, is in Genesis chapter 1. So it's not a stretch or a mystery to consider that John, under the power of the Spirit of God, is writing in the context of the Bible's beginning. The beginning. There's only one beginning, and that's the beginning in Genesis chapter 1. So with Genesis 1 in mind, it's beautiful to recognize that when John is thinking of that Genesis 1, we hear the word saying, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was there before our beginning began. Jesus is preeminent over us because he predates us. He is pre-existent to us. And he's not just there, he's active. Look at what it says back in John chapter 1, continuing on what we started. All things, again, those things that were made in the beginning, that's you and me, they were made by him, the Word. And without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Please take note of that last part of that verse. And the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Going back to verse 4, the reason why we want to center in on that last part, because it says that that light is the life of men. The beginning being referred to is the beginning of us, not the beginning of all things. It's our beginning. It's the beginning of our time. Jesus was before that time. God is before that time. Their preeminence now establishes our place in relationship to the Godhead, with Jesus as the one who is acting out on what God as the Father has thought. Remember what he says in Genesis chapter 1. It's not Jesus that says to the Father, it's the Father that says to the Son, let us make man in our image. This is why it's so vital to know that Jesus is before us. I feel good being the youngest sibling, even though it's only the two of us between my sister and I. My older sister, she's lived longer than me. She was around mom and dad before I was. They get to know the ropes. That makes it a little bit easier for us young ones to come up along, right? Knowing that Jesus predates us, knowing that Jesus is existing before us. It's not just this authoritarian, he's bigger than us and he's before us, but it's a confidence that we should have. There's a comfort that we should have to know that he, as the Son of God, and now also as the Son of Man, he has walked before us. He's our big brother. He's our big blessing. And God is only asking, and Jesus is only asking, that we will believe in him in order so that we can be a family again. I pray that we will find ourselves no longer orphaned or abandoned or island, if you will, when it comes to trying to live the life of God, when it comes to trying to live the life of Christ. We have not been called to duplicate. We've been called to believe. And we'll know how we believe by what we do, but we've been called to lean on that big brother. We've been called to lean on and to rest in Christ. And I pray today that we do that, to recognize that he was here before us, which means he can go before us. I'm so glad that we can have the assurance with this understanding that if Jesus is here before us, he will be here for us.